I have read it, just for the record, Sarah, and I do implement half of it. But I can talk about that more later. But yes, I'm a big fan, and I love it so much. So tell everyone what it is.
Yeah, profit first-ish. So profit first is, again, like as we're talking about finances, personal finances, you have a budget, you've got a plan for your money, or want you to anyway. Same thing goes with profit first. It's like make a plan for your money. And it turns some of the kind of traditional accounting principles on its head, right? So traditionally, you would take your income minus your expenses, and that is your profit. That's your salary. That's what you take home as the difference. And what profit first does is like, as a hold up, wait a minute, let's take your profit first. Let's make sure that you're managing yourself like a good salary, giving yourself a salary, but don't forget to pay your taxes and your operating expenses, and really wants to keep your operating expenses at a really reasonable level so that you can pay your taxes appropriately and you can also give yourself a decent salary.
Yes, it's so important for all of that. And what I found interesting about the book was he has so many examples of real business owners. So many people are living month to month, just like in the real world, right? And so many people don't pay themselves. Like they work like a mother for their business, and then they're not like getting anything out of it. And then it comes time to pay taxes, or some blip happens and there's nothing to actually pay that. So Profit First helps prevent all of that.
Yeah, I find that there's kind of two different camps of people that I'm working with, especially as we're talking about freelancers or solopreneurs, right? We're people that I don't have a big, conglomerate of people in my living room, right? Yeah. So there's sometimes these two camps, one where you're taking all the salary and you're not taking a percentage out for taxes or for investing in your business.
Oh, I didn't even I'm like the other camp. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Yeah, so same thing, right, where you get to tax season, you're like, oh, I did make a fair amount of money, and shoot, they want part of it? Yes, like you got to make a plan for those taxes, but also you need to like reinvest in your business. Like, what do you need to help you grow? What kind of support do you need? What kind of training or education should you invest in with yourself? And you can budget for that. Like, so you're not taking 100% of your profits home with you, but you do need to make a plan for all of the other. And then on the flip side, something that happens too is like you mentioned earlier, Emily, like you've invested in all the things, you've got all the tools, you've got all the monthly subscriptions that are going to help your business thrive, but they add up to so much on some of those famine months that you're not taking home anything at all, and you don't have enough to even set aside for taxes. So there are both kind of sides of the camp where you want to balance that better and really create some what Mike calls target allocation percentages versus your current allocation percentages. So you want to kind of work towards your targets, but you got to have a starting point or your cap, what your current is too.
Basically, I want you guys to understand this. It's all about taking your profit first before you worry about your expenses. So you're like reverse engineering everything. But what this looks like at the end of the year is I have a little, it's not so big. It was a growing year, building year in my business, but I have a little profit account that I now get to pay myself from 2020 on top of what I was paying myself every month. So it's this nice little nest egg. I'm like, Mama could get a minivan. Well, maybe half a minivan right now if I really want to splurge, but it's so nice because I get that money working for me, and it makes me excited and happy about my business, and I'm not resenting it because I'm just putting all the money back into it, because we already said I'm like in that second camp where I'll like forget to pay myself. I'll just work and be a slave to my business. And I know that's not going to work out long term. That's not a successful business if you're not making profit and you can't cover all of that. But tell everybody, what are the main 5 accounts that you have in business and in Profit First, and how does that work?
It's really kind of making sure, like, number one, like you got to separate your business monies from your personal monies. Like, first things first, don't mix up your monies. You need a separate account for your business. And then you have 5 accounts. And they can be checking accounts, they can be savings accounts. Probably at least one of them needs to be a checking account. You've got 5 accounts. The first is your income account. 100% of your income goes into this first account. And the second is a salary account. Profit. The profit first. Good Lord, I forgot the name of the book. Yeah, profit, and then you've got salary, and then you've got taxes, and then you have OpEx or operating expenses.
Okay.
So you've got 5 total accounts to start with. And that seems a little overwhelming, I think, at first when you're like, good Lord, you know, like 5 different accounts. But it helps just like streamline things, honestly. 100% of your income goes into the income account. And then based on what your allocation percentages are, twice a month, the 10th and the 25th, you take those percentages and say that you're allocating 5% to profit. You just, whatever that amount is in your income, transfer 5% over to profit. And then whatever your salary is, you're transferring into taxes, and then you're transferring into operating expense. And the key here is that you keep your operating expenses, your subscriptions, those the things that you're planning for, you're saving for, limited to that operating expense account. And that's, you don't take out of your salary in order to pay for your Canva bill. You make sure that you are taking it out of your operating expenses. And then and you move your percentages towards goal. So depending on how large your business is, you know, brick and mortar is a little bit different than what we can do as freelancers or solopreneurs. We can take a larger salary generally because we have less expenses.
Yeah.
And then quarterly, you will just hold on to your profit and hold on to your taxes. Most of us don't have to pay monthly taxes, right? Many of us pay quarterly taxes. You're going to transfer over those tax and that profit into what they call a hold account. Profit hold and tax hold. And you will only distribute that to yourself quarterly.
Oh, quarterly. Okay. I didn't realize that. So the first account, okay, I want to go over this again just to make sure I understand. The first account, what is the first account? All your income goes into the income account.
Yes.
Okay. And then from the income account is where you pay like all the other 5 accounts. Is that right?
Exactly. So there should be 4 left. You've got your profit, your salary, your taxes, and your operating expenses. So everything goes into income, and then you take it into the 4.
So what happens with somebody like me? Like I'm getting random little payouts from affiliates. I'm getting random Stripe payments. I don't even know when they come in. How do I do that monthly? Like what you're saying, just do it on the 1st and the 15th?
Yeah, 10th and 25th, 1st and 15th, whatever you do, you pick your 2 days.
Okay.
And so when you set up your Stripe or your Venmo or your whatever, make sure it's depositing into your income account.
Okay.
Do your transfers in time to hit, you know, for the 1st or the 15th or the 10th or the 25th. And then you reconcile your account those days. You pull up your credit union account, and then you take whatever's in that income, and then you do your allocation percentages.
Okay. And so then when you're putting into the salary, it'll just sit there and you'll pay yourself. What do you recommend for that? Like just monthly pay from yourself from that account?
Yeah, I do monthly. Mike recommends 2 times a month.
Okay.
But I just do monthly as well. That's all I need, or all I'm counting on.
So should that income account empty every month? Like, or is there some like writing? Oh, okay.
So your income should go to 0 every single time that you allocate. You are allocating all the rest. So your income is 100%, right? 100% of your income goes in there. And then you need to determine what that looks like. Right. Let's do it. Okay, so my handwriting sucks, but hopefully you guys can stay with me here. 100%, right? Our income is 100%. And so CAP is called current allocation percentages. So that means this is where you're at currently. Oftentimes where we start is not necessarily what we want to target to. Like maybe you're not taking any profit right now. So we want to build your way slowly to that. So you move slowly in that direction. So you have some time, like you don't have to like 100% go into what the goal is. Just as an example, you can say, I just want to start with 1% profit. Like I really want to take home as much money as possible. I've got goals personally at home. So I'm going to take home as much salary as I can right now. So over here in your salary, like maybe you can be like 64%. That sounds nice, right? Yeah. Don't forget your taxes, right? About 15%. And then operating expenses around the 20% mark. Let's make sure that we add up to 100, right? 65, right? 80, yep, we add up to 100 there.
Okay.
So you get all of your money into your income, and then you just like, okay, you just do a little bit of math, like bust out the calculator, how much is in there, transfer 1% over to your profit, 64% into your salary, 15% into your taxes, and 20% remains for your operating expenses. And then you need to live in that amount. So what does that 20% look like for you? Can you make sure that your expenses are manageable within that? And maybe that's not you. Like maybe you don't have very many operating expenses. Like good for you. What's a better percentage for you? Like is it 10%? Just make sure you have enough money in there or enough of a goal that you are continuing to invest in yourself. I think that's important, especially in the online space. It can be a little bit lonely. How are you continuing to learn? How are you continuing to educate yourself so that you can grow as a part of your business as well?
So what else would be in operating expenses? Like when you want to take that course or sign up for that coaching group, that would all come from there?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's your monthly subscription. So like I have a referral fee that comes out of there. My own unicorn VA comes out of the operating expense budget as well. Yes.
Okay.
And right, Canva, MailChimp, right? All of those things, right, are coming out of my operating expenses.
So do you let that will kind of build a little bit, won't it? If hopefully.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I have, and I list out my expenses in terms of, I prioritize them. Like if it's a rough month, what are those things that I must make sure that I am paying for always? And then what are the fluffier things that I am saving for or I can expand? So I just list them out in order of importance. Okay. And things have to be cut, or I can't, spend $1 bazillion on Facebook ads, then sometimes that's just not going to be able to happen. So order things in order of importance for your business.
Okay, so that makes sense. You pay your people from there. You have all of your costs for your subscriptions. So when the people part of it can fluctuate, it would be nice that has extra money to cover the cost. And I think a lot of business owners need to pick up on this because a lot of you come to me scared about hiring and like, do I have enough money? And if you set it up the way Sarah just described, you would be paying from your expense account and it would make you prioritize. Like it will make you stop from buying the new MacBook and realizing you don't have money for it yet because you have other like crucial bills that have to get paid. So it kind of keeps your expenses in check when they're in one account and you can't look at the other thing. It doesn't look what am I trying to say, bigger than it really is because your profit isn't in there. Your taxes aren't in there. Your salary is not in there.
Exactly. You can easily inflate it if you just look at your income. You're like, well, look at that. Like I can go do all the things, but actually you cannot go do all the things, right? If you want to make sure that you're taking a reasonable salary and don't forget to pay your taxes. Like it's such a bummer. I like totally get it. But you've got to make a plan for your taxes so it doesn't hit you later in the year.
Yes. So how do you pay your quarterly taxes? How does that work?
I have an LLC, and so we use an accountant, and it's part of our family taxes, our personal taxes.
Okay. For everyone else, you can do that through the IRS, and you can set it up. You can set it up to take, what am I trying to say, like an automatic withdrawal? You can set it up like that. Someone asked, which banks are the most solopreneur for opening all of these accounts with minimal fees? Do you have any recommendations there?
Yeah, a lot of credit unions will be quite friendly to you with multiple accounts. Large banks generally have a lot more fees associated with them. But on Mike's website, I'll have to double check and see what the website is. But he has a list of like banks that have been vetted, through his program as well. But
okay, cool.
Generally speaking, your local credit union will be quite friendly for setting up several accounts. Yep.
Someone said, if you want to set up a retirement account, which account does that come from?
Yeah, I think it should come out of your personal account. So let's talk about your salary. Like, let's say that you're taking 65 or 75% salary. Props to you, right? Do that all day long, as long as you can. Think about it like a paycheck, right? Comes into your personal account. Now in your personal finances, I want you to be contributing 15% of your income towards retirement. That is one of those baby steps in day plan where your goal is 15% of your income. And it's really your household income. And it's not like his and hers or just yours, right? It's 15% of your household income should be going into retirement. And that's after you are debt free and you have a fully funded emergency fund. So
Okay.
baby step 1 is that starter emergency fund. Baby step 2 is paying off your debt. Baby step 3 is having a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in case of a pandemic. And then baby step 4 is contributing 15% of your income to retirement until you stop working.
Okay, so we start with the goal of a profit, and you were saying 1 to 5%. Like, can you go above that?
Sure. Yeah. Essentially, like your profits, what you get to take home at some point, whether you take it quarterly or whether you take it annually.
Okay.
But the idea with your profit account, at least quarterly, is that you're celebrating yourself. Like you're taking a minute and you're like, you know what? I did some things. Like I'm going to go, I don't care if you go get a pedicure or you go buy yourself some froyo or you go out for a whole weekend spa trip. But yes, use your profit to really celebrate your successes and reward yourself.
Okay. I love that. I love that so much. And I say yes to all of it. Maybe some little shopping in there too. So what would you do if you were somebody like me, and I'll be totally transparent, that my operating expenses are above 30%? What should I be doing to get that in check?
Yeah. So within the book too, you'll find some tools that help you figure out what your current allocation percentages are. So you do some math and you're like, okay, this is how much I'm spending each month generally on my operating expenses. And then you figure out what your target is. And maybe your target's closer to 30%, right? Maybe that is where we want it to be. Then you're going to slowly make a plan to reduce it. So let's say that your operating expenses are at 40% and you really want to get to that 30% mark. You are going to slowly but surely decrease it 1 percentage point at a time. Okay. So 1 percentage point is not going to feel really big. 10 percentage points is going to feel huge. So slowly but surely, like take it to 1, you take it down another, take it down another, and reevaluate that quarterly.
Okay. So how does this fit into the live launching model for business owners who are launching? Because you know a big part of my expenses is Facebook ads, and that's like out of my control. So I'm thinking I know the answer to this already as far as like keeping that in check, but like what can I do with that operating expenses when it's a launch month?
Yeah. Pad your account. You're going to just pad it. You're going to keep rolling it over month after month until you have a nice little pile ready for you for your launch month. And then you still have to keep yourself in check. So sometimes you got to tell yourself no, or you're going to have to pause the ad, or you're going to like whatever, like get to the threshold, yeah. and just check yourself a little bit.
So trying to think what else here. When it comes to salary, is there like a minimum we should be taking?
I think that it has to meet your personal needs too. So you got into business, to make some money. Let's be honest. You need to set some goals for yourself in terms of like, all right, like if this is your side hustle, if this is something you're just doing 1 day a week, well, what do you want out of it? Do you have a goal of $1,500 a month? Do you have a goal of $5,000 a month? And work it backwards and say, okay, if I want to take a salary of $2,000 a month, then what does my income need to look like? Given all of those percentages. All right, if I'm taking 75% of my salary, okay, what does my little bit of profit look like? And then what should my operating expenses be? What should I remember to set aside for taxes? And then go and create all that income. You've got some good goals that you can kind of reverse engineer.